Hey there, welcome back. It's been forever. Come along with me while I engrave a fox and a cool pattern on this little pocket knife. I'm going to edit the heck out of this footage because it's kind of boring to watch me do this in real time. It takes hours. But if you want the raw footage, like a much, much, much longer version, you can find that on the Patreon. I don't post there often, and I'm still trying to figure out stuff to post there that I think makes it worth it to join, but that's what is there right now, that and some fiction writing. So just pretend that the back of this is blank. I'm filming this in backwards order. It's a little pocket knife that was it's broken. It's useless. I just wanted an easy win. I haven't engraved anything in a long time, and I just wanted something that I could really easily, engrave on and not worry about messing it up or reducing the value or anything. Let's hop into it. Oh, I knew I wanted this motion in a fox, and I was just looking for an easy win, so I just traced a running fox. I knew I wanted to put a geometric background on it, but I just couldn't find something I was happy with, so I figured screw it, I'd deal with it later. This hot melt thermoplastic holds everything in place. You can kind of see the heat gun off to the side there. Been so long since I've used this, I forgot that you kind of have to take it slow because you can overheat it and it gets sticky and runny. So it sticks to my finger here. It's kind of a nightmare, but I wasn't too concerned about it. See me smearing it on there. Time to get started. So I've printed this out with a laser printer. And this method of transferring, I have a whole video on this. It's linked down below, but this method of transferring is what I use most often. I use acetone to get the ink off of the paper onto the surface. You kind of prepare the surface ahead of time, and then you can use acetone to transfer it over. You flip the image backwards, and then when you put it on there, it is forwards. And here you'll get to see what I see. So it's faint, but you can actually see the design there. And that's all I can see. And I wasn't worried about the lines being straight. I'm going to redo those edges. It's always hard to decide the first line, and I'm going to keep everything here in real time, so you can see how slow the process is. You can't even see that end piece is moving there. And I'll spare you the noise. This is actually a very loud instrument. This is why I don't do any live streaming or anything when I do engraving. It's because that little thing in my hand is a little tiny hammer, and it is extremely loud. And so I've turned the volume way down for this footage. And that's one line right there. One line. Here, I'm kind of doing another pass, and you can kind of see the motion a little bit better on this one. But this is just to give you a feel for the actual time commitment involved. So let's zoom in a little bit. You can actually see the design a little bit here. You can kind of tell that I'm doing the chest, the little bit of a mane that this fox has, and then the foot. Now the legs, I knew I wanted to cross over the boundary of the background, and so you can see me, definitely going over that line there already. You can kind of see the outline of the fox. If you want, again, all the time lapse, that's on the Patreon, but I'm going to edit this down to be super short because it's boring watching me do this part where you can't really tell what all the cuts are. So we'll skip ahead. I've cut the whole fox shape out, and here I'm adding the actual lines that will separate the background from the edge. Just kind of scribing this here so that I can see it as a guide, and then I'll engrave these lines and put that background in. Quick scribe there, and then I actually engrave these lines. This is so slow. You can see here, it's just creeping along. And this is actually the part that takes the most practice for me, is just staying slow. Because I can speed up, I can turn up the power on the machine and just push it through and force it through, but you make mistakes. So I'm trying to be better at staying slow. So here it is, fully carved with just the fox and the background lines. And it's time to put that geometric background on there. Here's one that I liked. It seems simple enough that it wouldn't be absolute torture. And again, I was just looking for easy wins, so I'm not really spending the absolute most time in the world to be hyper careful of getting these lines perfect. I just threw it on there and figured I could carve it out and it would look kind of neat. Ultimately, I was very pleased with the result. Again, just using the acetone transfer method, that video is linked below. It works really well for me so far on every material I've tried, so I highly recommend it. See it dry out, and then I just peel it off, and you can see that background. About this time, I remembered I could hook my phone up directly to my microscope. It makes it harder to engrave because then I only have one eyepiece. I don't have stereoscopic view anymore. But you can actually see better the process here, the unique geometry of the end of that tool. And here, as I go off of the edge of the screen, you can see how far I'm zoomed in. If you look at my fingernail here and my fingerprint, you can see how far I'm zoomed in. See those legs of the fox, how they kind of cross over the edge of the border. I was very pleased with that. Here, I'm carving each one of these one at a time, nice and slow. Now, admittedly, I do some chains here like this, where I do like a whole row of them, because if you can repeat the same action from the same angle, you'll get cleaner results instead of kind of constantly changing your angle and stuff. And here is where I mess up right there and scratch the face. That's the only real big goof in the whole thing. Now, this tool is not a sharp carver. This is a fine point, and the little hammer is using it to poke little dents in the surface, which make it very dark looking later whenever I add paint, or even just the way the light catches. It looks very dark. Under the microscope, it barely looks any different, but here you can see the result. You see how much darker it is. There's no paint there. That's just the way the light plays on it. Now we add that black enamel paint to really make it pop. Wipe that off, and it's time for the beauty shots. We'll get a look at it here on the vise for a moment, and then we'll go outside where I think it's really pretty up against the grain. So here you go.